The bills have the same serial number, and the counterfeit machine didn't catch it. I checked again. These two bills have the same number. That has to be fake. There's no way two bills can have the same serial number. This is the first time I've ever seen something like this, and I kept them as a souvenir.
Adding to the unease, an increasing number of Chinese banknotes with duplicate serial numbers have been spotted. On September 16th, a supermarket owner in Dalian, Liaoning province, shared a video showing two red 100 yuan bills with identical serial numbers, YC9299973. When both bills were placed in a counterfeit detection machine, no errors were detected. The video shows the owner feeding one of the 100 yuan bills into the machine, which validated the bill. She then inserted both bills simultaneously, and they passed the counterfeit test without any issues. The owner commented, "Is this a problem with the machine or the money?" This incident quickly sparked public attention. Social media users speculated there have been rumors about duplicate serial numbers for a while, and didn't someone say that those in charge printed heaps of those duplicate bills? However, by the evening of September 16th, the owner posted another video claiming that the bills were fake and that the issue stemmed from an incorrect setting on her machine.
It's true that these two fake bills have the same serial number. It wasn't the machine's fault, it was my mistake. The function I chose on the machine was set to count mode, so it only checked the quantity, not whether the bills were real or fake.
In normal circumstances, small supermarkets always verify large bills to prevent counterfeits. The default setting on the counterfeit detection machines is for checking authenticity, not just counting. Even in banks, machines are set to check for counterfeit bills while counting. Netizens suspect the shopkeeper may have been pressured to explain the situation as a mistake. In recent years, instances of duplicate serial numbers on Chinese banknotes have surfaced multiple times, with the problem appearing to worsen. On September 10th, a netizen shared a photo of three 100 yuan bills with the same serial number. Similar cases were reported in April 2023 when two 100 yuan bills with identical serial numbers were shown online. Look at this yuan. What's the issue? Seems like a misprint. Two identical serial numbers? That shouldn't be possible. If these are real bills, could it be that the numbers were tampered with? If they're truly identical, that shouldn't happen. One user sarcastically commented, "This world is like a shabby theater troupe. Whoever thought up this brilliant idea is a real genius. Instead of printing new serial numbers, they just copied them. Now no one knows how much real currency is actually in circulation. Truly impressive." Another user warned, "Once everything turns into digital currency, no one will know how much they're printing, and no one will be able to see how many duplicate serial numbers there are." Some went as far as saying, "The yuan has always been like worthless paper. How could the Communist Party have any credibility?" On August 29th, the central bank bought 400 billion yuan worth of special government bonds from the open market. This signals that China's currency issuance has officially entered the era of unanchored money printing. Now, you might expect such a big change to come with a storm, but instead, it feels calm, almost unnoticed. Before you realize it, you've already been swept into this flood of currency. By the time you notice, you're already caught in the flood with no way to escape. The flood of currency issuance is upon us, and we're all along for the ride. Everyone should brace themselves. So how much money did China's central bank print in August? A staggering 500 billion yuan. Yes, the central bank printed 500 billion yuan in just 1 month. If the central bank continues printing at this pace, in just 2 or 3 months, a monetary flood will engulf the economy. According to a video posted by China commentator Lao Man, the People's Bank of China officially began its unrestrained money printing in August 2024. The newly released data shows that 507 billion yuan was printed that month. This data comes directly from the central bank's monthly balance sheet, where the figure for government bonds held by the central bank rose sharply from 1.5 trillion yuan to 2 trillion yuan by the end of August, a staggering 33% jump. Laman explained that this surge in government bond holdings is a clear sign of unrestrained money printing. In his X-account post, Laman warned that once the strict rules are broken and the floodgates open, it's impossible to stop at just a few hundred billion. 500 billion, 1 trillion, 5 trillion, times that by the money multiplier, and a flood of currency will pour into the economy. The 2003 version of China's banking law set 2 ironclad rules. First, the central bank cannot buy government bonds from either the primary or secondary markets. Second, when these bonds mature, the Ministry of Finance must repay the central bank. Both of these rules were broken within 2 months. On July 1st, the People's Bank of China announced that, in order to maintain the functioning of the bond market, it would allow certain primary dealers to engage in government bond borrowing operations. Following this announcement, government bond futures tumbled. The 30-year main contract fell 1.06%. The 10-year contract dropped 0.37%. The 5-year contract was down 0.24%, and the 2-year contract dipped 0.08%. At the time, Lao Man pointed out on social media that under China's financial system, if the central bank buys government bonds in any form, whether from the primary or secondary market, it marks the beginning of unanchored money printing. Lao Man emphasized that by breaking this legal barrier, the central bank is now free to directly buy and hold government bonds on a large scale, with no limits on how much it can purchase. On August 30th, the Bank of China announced it had conducted open market operations throughout August, buying short-term government bonds and selling long-term ones. The net bond purchases for the month totaled 100 billion yuan. Just a day earlier, on August 29th, the Bank of China revealed it had bought 400 billion yuan worth of special government bonds from primary dealers, including 300 billion yuan of 24 continuation special bonds 01 and 100 billion yuan of 24 continuous special bonds 02. These bonds have terms of 10 and 15 years, respectively, and were priced at 100 yuan each. On the same day, China's Ministry of Finance announced the issuance of 400 billion yuan in special government bonds, with the 10-year bonds carrying an interest rate of 2.17% and the 15-year bonds at 2.25%. Many Chinese people mocked this online, saying, "What primary dealers? Scammers love to invent new names. In reality, the Bank of China is just buying the Ministry of Finance's government bonds directly, inflating the money supply and devaluing the currency." When a central bank purchases government bonds, it creates new base money in the process. This is known as money creation. Technically, the central bank buys bonds by adding them as assets on its balance sheet and corresponding liabilities in the form of bank deposits or reserves. In simple terms, the central bank is paying for those bonds by printing money. This situation, where the central bank and Ministry of Finance are simply transferring money between each other, amounts to unanchored money printing. Before 2015, the yuan was anchored by foreign exchange, meaning the central bank printed money based on China's trade surplus and foreign currency reserves. However, since 2015, China's continuous outflows of foreign exchange saw the currency anchor shift to debt. The central bank now prints money and lends it to commercial banks, which then lends it to government entities, businesses, and individuals. This system relies heavily on maintaining debt credibility. Borrowed money must be repaid to close the loop. If large-scale defaults occur and debts go unpaid, the entire chain breaks and the currency's anchor is lost. Unlike many Western countries that also anchor their currencies to debt, China lacks both government credibility and an independent central bank. The Bank of China is fully subordinate to the Ministry of Finance, with no authority of its own. If the Ministry of Finance fails to repay its debts, the central bank's only option is to print more money. Lao Man once analyzed that unanchored money printing means local governments can borrow money without repaying it. For years, local governments have relied on issuing new bonds to pay off old debt, creating a debt snowball. Now this system has stalled, forcing the central bank to break financial rules to bail them out. The only way forward might be to allow local governments to borrow without repaying, or for the central bank to buy their debt and cancel it, or even to announce outright debt forgiveness, all of which would constitute unanchored money printing. Once this process begins, it would quickly spiral out of control with exponential growth in the money supply, leading to catastrophic consequences. Some netizens are now saying that these so-called special government bonds issued by the CCP have no proper collateral and are essentially just pieces of paper. These bonds, mixed with a circulating currency, effectively watering down the value of existing banknotes. This means the Bank of China has just collected 400 billion yuan in taxes out of thin air, and the money in people's pockets has depreciated as a result. The worst part, this money isn't enough, and more will be printed in the future. China's money printing has reached insane levels in recent years. According to the latest data, as of August 2024, China's M2 money supply has exceeded 305 trillion yuan. M2 refers to the total amount of money circulating in an economy, and China's M2 growth over the past 30 years has been astonishing. In 1990, M2 was 1.5 trillion yuan. By 2000, it was 13 trillion. In 2010, it reached 72 trillion. In 2015, 139 trillion. And by 2021, it had surged to 238 trillion yuan. By March 2024, the figure has surpassed 300 trillion yuan. Between 2021 and 2022 alone, the CCP flooded the economy with 56 trillion yuan, equivalent to printing an entire year's worth of Germany's currency in just 2 years. Despite the massive increase in money supply, the purchasing power of the yuan has plummeted. Yet much of this newly printed money has not reached ordinary people or even circulated in the broader economy. This disconnect has caused some banks to refill ATMs with damaged bills. On September 16th, a man in Suzhou, Jiangsu, reported withdrawing multiple damaged notes from an ATM. He immediately called the bank's customer service. There's a problem. These 6 bills are damaged, and 10 more look like they've been soaked in oil. How can such badly damaged bills be dispensed from the machine? The bank's customer service replied,
That's unusual, but if you find any damaged bills, you can contact the branch where the machine is located to arrange for an exchange.
Not only do ordinary people have no money, even the government and businesses are broke. Even major corporations like Wanda are selling off assets to pay off their debts. So where did all this money go? It either circulates within the financial system or is concentrated in the hands of a few powerful elites. According to figures released by China Merchants Bank and Minsheng Bank, 2% of China's population controls over 82% of its wealth, leaving the rest of the population with little to no money. Moreover, under Xi Jinping's administration, most of the money printing has flowed into the military, high-tech sectors, and heavy industry, or has been spent on foreign aid. It has little to no impact on the livelihoods of ordinary people. Despite the Bank of China's unrestrained bond purchases, some analysts believe it won't lead to hyperinflation like in Venezuela or Zimbabwe, at least not yet. The CCP's money printing isn't circulating widely in society, which is why we aren't seeing extreme inflation. However, they warn that deflation remains a significant issue in China. Even with massive money printing, housing prices won't rise. In fact, they are likely to continue falling. Except for special items like gold, luxury goods and high-end products will keep losing value as the middle class slips into poverty and can no longer afford to consume. A popular phrase that is circulating in China is, if you won't spend, they'll force you to. Prices for essential goods will keep rising, but prices for industrial and durable goods will continue to fall. In the end, ordinary people will bear the brunt of the inflation in everyday necessities. Seriously, is nobody going to fix this? At the supermarket, I picked up 4 apples for over 30 yuan, 8 yuan each. I was about to pay, but I had to put them back. I can't afford that. Same with strawberries and mangoes. Just a small amount costs 70 or 80 yuan. At this rate, they're more expensive than meat. Even buying toothpaste has gotten ridiculous. A few years ago, I thought Yunnan Baiyao toothpaste was pricey at 25 yuan a tube. Now, go to any supermarket. No matter the brand or type, nothing is under 1990 yuan. And shampoo? Head & Shoulders is almost 90 yuan a bottle now. What? Is this supposed to make me thinner or more handsome after using it? There's one store I don't even dare to enter anymore. It gives me a headache just thinking about it. The nut shop. Roasted chestnuts are the cheapest thing they sell. Everything else costs at least dozens of yuan per pound, sometimes over 100. If you don't have 500 or 600 yuan to spare, you won't make it out of there. Every time the cashier asks, is that enough? I say, a little less, a little less. The sound of nuts falling into the bag, to me, it's the sound of money slipping away. Netizens commented, fix it? Who's going to fix it? This is exactly what they want. Otherwise, how else is GDP going to grow? I haven't eaten in 5 days. My stomach is completely empty, and my ribs are showing. But instead of understanding that, you assume I'm constipated and keep giving me laxatives. Instant noodles, pickled vegetables, and soda, what we call the poor man's 3 essentials, have all gone up in price. Almost everything related to food has seen price hikes recently, with some fruits and vegetables even jumping by more than 70%. According to the official explanation, the main reason for the price hikes is rising raw material costs, or they blame the weather. It seems even Mother Nature has to take the fall during tough times. This year, the government set a CPI target increase of around 3%. But right now, people have stopped paying attention to things like houses, cars, electronics, and other goods. So, how are they going to hit that 3% target? Well, the invisible hand is about to make its move. No one can live without food or drink, so you'll notice that the biggest price hikes are for essential goods we need to survive. With these prices going up, it seems likely they'll meet the 3% CPI goal this year, and maybe even give a little boost to the 5% GDP growth target while they're at it. This is the reality of today's China, a unique paradox where deflation and unbridled money printing coexist, creating a stark contrast between inflation for essentials and deflation for most other goods.